a lot has been happening at the LOC since February 25 last year. Well, that is the day when the ceasefire agreement, came into place, an agreement that was initially initiated in 2003. I have with me the GOC, that is General Officer Commanding of the 19th Infantry Division of the Indian Army, Major General Ajay Chandpuria. General, welcome to the print.
Thank you.
Since 25th February last year, how do you see this LOC, sir? The change
Right.
dynamics.
As you're aware, the ceasefire understanding between the two armies was agreed upon on 25th of February 2021. So it is almost a year since then. First and foremost is that on our side, I think the biggest advantage has been the peace and tranquility enjoyed by the civilians, large number of civilian population which is living close to the line of control. They have been able to move out freely without any fear. Civil administration, I think a lot of infrastructure projects which were getting affected by the ceasefire violations have now found momentum, and we see remarkable improvement and pace in the execution of such projects. So I think that's been a phenomenal part. On the other side, the enemy had really been battered in the ceasefire violations prior to that. So we see a lot of construction activities, a lot of defense preparedness going on there. And on our side, we've been able to work on our infrastructure and further improve on our war preparedness. So I think all in all, it has been of tremendous advantage to especially our local population living close to the line of control.
Absolutely, sir. I spoke to the villagers and that's what they said. But you mentioned a very important point, that the enemy on the other side, and this is what I have also come to know, is the fact that they're fortifying their positions. They've inducted new kinds of weapons, new kind of surveillance systems, things that we've also done. But the Pakistanis, as you mentioned, were earlier battered very badly earlier. But now they seem to be making a lot of construction activity, fortifying the bunkers. How do you see that, sir, in the coming days ahead?
Well, see, defense preparedness for any army is a part of ongoing process, and having really suffered in the course of these ceasefire violations prior to the understanding, there has been concerted efforts that is visible from here, whether it relates to defense preparedness, induction of heavy caliber weapons, or improvement in infrastructure. Well, that shouldn't deter us from that fact that we have a line of control to defend, and I think our forces are well equipped, well oriented, and all these things are factored in the military planning should any situation arise.
So, while of course the ceasefire violation is not taking place, I think in the last 1 year there have been 2 or 3 ceasefire, which was very local ceasefire violations along the LOC. But in terms of infiltration attempts have continued. But during this particular period since December, what we've come to know is that there has been less infiltration, but the launch pads as well as the terror camp seems to be full. Is that true, sir?
See, as regards the infiltration, now firstly, at any point of time, based on the inputs from multiple agencies, as also our own sources, there are reports of up to 100 to 130 terrorists present in the launch pads opposite the divisional area of responsibility. And very often there are reports of groups of some terrorists present in various sectors. As you're aware, you would have visited the forward areas. So these reports keep coming. In the last 1 year, I think almost half a dozen such attempts were made. All of them were eliminated. A large number of terrorists were killed. And interestingly, in the weapon and equipment which was recovered, we realized that there is a lot of spillover of the high-tech weapons, advanced night vision devices, and the equipment which is left over by the Americans in Afghanistan, which is now finding its way towards this side. So despite the ceasefire understanding, there has been no let-up in the presence of terrorists or infiltration attempts. Now in the peak of winters with the snow level at around 400 plus inches, the places are very few. The deployment as such is quite thick. People are alert. However, that does not rule out in the coming summers, we apprehend that there will be many more attempts made on the line of control for infiltration, but presence of over 100 odd terrorists is confirmed opposite in the launch pads.
Well, that's a very significant statement that you made, that, high-tech weapons along with night vision capability, binoculars and sights have been recovered from terrorists. So these you mentioned are the ones which were left by the Americans. So those weapons, we saw trucks full of those pictures and videos are now making their way to the terrorists, sir?
See, as you would have seen in the media reports, when the Americans left Afghanistan, there were more than 600,000 modern small arms left behind and several 100,000 pieces of night vision equipment. Some of it which has been recovered from these recent encounters and the infiltration bids which have been eliminated on the line of control certainly are not in the orbit or the equipment profile of the Pakistan Army. So it's just simple to assess where does this come from.
And so, in terms of infiltration, there was also the possibility of always been a fear, or let's say concern, not the fear, but a concern that many of the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists have actually worked with the Taliban in Afghanistan fighting the Western forces. Now, they seem to, because the war is over there. Do you, are you concerned? Is there a possibility of them being part of the infiltration eventually?
See, there were a number of terrorist groups which were fighting the American forces under this coalition in Afghanistan. Now that Taliban has come to power there are multiple reports, and we have our own inputs to suggest that a large number of these fighters have reverted back to Pakistan. In addition, we get reports that in the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, there are reports of Afghan-speaking people there. Hundreds of Afghan Sims have been reported to be active on the places which are close to the line of control on our side. So that's on the enemy side of the line of control. So it's a genuine apprehension, and I think an expectation that in the coming season we will see these terrorist groups employing these people who have had experience in Afghanistan in operations on the line of control to infiltrate into own side.
Well, that was Major General Ajay Chanpuria, the GOC of the 19th Infantry Division, talking to us about the changed LOC dynamics. But remember, the most important thing that he mentioned was the fact that you have American weapons and night surveillance systems that have been found with terrorists who have been killed at the LOC part of the infiltration attempt, and also the fact there are a number of Afghan Sims that seem to be active across the line of control, which is the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. This is Snesh Alex Philip signing off with my video journalist Uruchita Bharadwaj for The Print.